Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into Fantasy Football University, FFU, coming at you in week 11 of the regular season, week 11 of the fantasy football season, week 11 in all of your hearts. I am Mr. Bill DeCousis. I'm here with Mr. Tom Lang. Mr. Lang, how you doing, sir?
Oh, I'm doing well, doing well. What an interesting fantasy football weekend we had. Jonathan Taylor breaking the Colts rushing touchdown record, scoring 3 touchdowns over in Berlin.
That's right.
Very, very interesting week. And then the rest of the fantasy football week was pretty melancholy.
Well, melancholy indeed. We got a lot to talk about today, and there's going to be a couple of little points that are going to trigger in my mind of victory laps that we can take from this past week.
Yeah,
But there were some bad calls that happened this past week.
there were.
I just thought we could, because of how egregious they were on some
Well,
of the calls. Let's talk about the Geno Smith call from last
okay.
week.
That's fine. I mean, things happen, unfortunately, and nobody was really relevant in that game at all. It was almost like last night's game. It was literally the same end up score. It was a defensive, play and offensive struggle. And I did cover it actually on Sunday Live. It just makes it seem like, the Thursday night game, nobody really wants to be there anymore. Do you feel that? Do you get that feeling? I mean, yes, it's fun for fans to watch football, but especially as we get late in the season, right? We're going into week 11. Do you think it's smart for players to have 3 to 4 days of rest to go into a Thursday night football game, and play a full speed contact game, especially when it gets colder? Do you think that's
No,
smart?
no, but they've dealt with this question before, and great, they don't care. Like they're gonna keep doing it. So like it's too much of a moneymaker for them. So I think what they've tried to do is offer the teams that are playing on Thursday night, hey, maybe the prior week you had a bye, or maybe you played an early game on Sunday. You know what I mean? As best as they can.
Yeah.
So I agree. Maybe generally speaking, it's kind of slightly depressed. I mean, I think that they've done stats on this where Thursday night games tend to be lower than what would be an average game, I guess. But it is what it is. They're gonna have to keep doing it. And this upcoming this upcoming Thursday night game is likely going to be a slaughter, which we'll get to on the
Yeah.
preview show. So
Yeah, no, for sure. And we know the wild thing about it is the Cowboys have they have technically back-to-back Monday Night Football games because they were on bye last week. So they were on Monday Night Football the week before, they had a bye, and now they're back on Monday Night Football. So literally 2 weeks, exactly 2 weeks instead of 13 days back in the lineup.
we actually have a lot of credit to give you for a couple different things. Alec Pierce, etc. We'll get to that
Yes,
today.
sir.
But I just wanted to mention the DJ Moore thing because I actually, I disagreed with what your take was, but I had the same hopes and dreams for DJ Moore. Um, and so I wanted to say, obviously he's not overtaking Roma Dunze. That was a bad statement. But I want to ask you, just going forward, what is going on with him? What's going on with the Bears? They didn't decide to trade him. They wanted to keep him. In a game that was competitive, they needed it. An absolute zero? Like,
I mean, just it's happened. This is not the first time it's happened this year, right? And he's been very, very underwhelming. We were anticipating more of an ascending, production moving forward based on how they
that
were utilizing him, the previous week. He was going against the Giants,
right.
and we anticipated, a decent week.
We both
And
did.
and it was a competitive game. It wasn't like it was, a blowout or
Right.
anything. It was a comeback game. So, he wasn't even in the mix. Now he did get slightly dinged up in that game too. So he was in and out. So that could be something that could be a factor right there. But I am so happy I moved on from him in a league the week before with the blow up week. But I did
Well, that's
feel
good.
it is good, but I did feel that he was going to have, I did feel that he was going to be productive. And it wasn't like I was moving on being like, this was something like a hit and miss. I made a call last week. I said, he's basically going to be, you know, uh, potentially a wide receiver one moving forward. And I just don't. I mean, there still is the opportunity, you could, but it's not really looking so hot right now.
No, and honestly, for anybody who has him, and also at this point, probably everybody's past the trade deadline, so and it wouldn't matter anyway. But he's probably not droppable because he's going to have some good games. But if this level of a disappearing act in a game where they really needed him is really unfortunate.
Yeah.
It's it's going to be a start sit question every single week. It's going to be hopefully he doesn't give you a zero. But I mean, again, he's had other game like the game before he had 20 whatever points that he had. So but
Well, let
remember
me,
the one point I had to you was when he had that. It's not like he had a receiving touchdown on those points, but I
yeah.
felt encouraged by like, hey, they were trying to get him integrated. It's just it was just disgusting. It felt like a zero, really? Like
Yeah. No,
so
I hear you. I mean, it is tough. But again, we've seen really horrible weeks from, DK Metcalf this year, and we've seen very productive weeks from DK Metcalf. I don't know what's going on there. Rodgers is not hyper targeting a player, is what it is. And he's utilizing the tight ends, which he's never done before. So
we'll talk about them today. I think I see a bounce back for
yeah,
Pittsburgh
I think
this
so.
week.
I
Yeah.
think so too. I will say though, and before we get into our waiver show and
Hmm.
whatnot, I do feel really good about the production we were talking about with Jacoby Myers, the law firm. I think he looked very, very good for his first week being on the Jaguars. He did catch a touchdown, but it was a flag was taken back that basically was holding, and it was an unnecessary hold. Um,
Sure.
and it was basically from a wide receiver. I don't know if he was trying to get that ball because technically that player did get the ball for a touchdown the next play. Um, but um, which I found funny, Mr. Parker Washington. But Jacoby Myers, his route running was great. He was smooth with it, and I only see it getting better. So he definitely, everybody's trade deadline is coming up. He's somebody that I would buy low right now on based on, the fantasy production was not there, but watching him get integrated into that system, he could be a league winner. And it looked like Trevor Lawrence was comfortable with him on the field, moving around. So, keep an eye out for him. He may be on your waivers as well too, which we'll
I
discuss
just
today.
I was just checking while you were talking. He very well might not be. I mean, like
Okay.
I just quickly glanced at ESPN. On ESPN he's at 73%, so maybe if you're super lucky. And on
But I will say, if he's there, pick him up. Like this is an
yeah.
opportunity. But if not, buy low.
And on Sleeper he's at 77. So yeah, he good luck if he's on your waivers or not, which he probably isn't, but
Let me ask you: would you rather have DJ Moore or Jacoby Myers on your roster?
uh do I officially know the Brian Thomas news?
Well, Brian
Yeah.
Thomas has a high ankle sprain, so he
And he's
could
going to
be
be
out.
out for a few weeks, right?
And Diami Brown, is potentially coming back. I'm not sure if that's 100%, but he may be out as well too. And then obviously you have Travis Hunter out for the at minimum the next 3 weeks.
I'm going to say, let's assume Brian Thomas comes back in 2 weeks. I'm going to say, I think I would rather have DJ Moore, but that point is well taken. Like you're making a good case
And
there.
and
Yeah.
I will say something else as well before we get into the deeper into the show is I see when Travis Hunter comes back because their defense has not been so good. I could see him playing more defensive snaps than offensive snaps now that they have Jacoby Myers on the roster, making
That's
that playoff
true.
push.
And the ascension of Parker Washington too, who we'll talk
Yeah.
about today.
So,
I agree.
they can, he pretty much could be, he could probably be the best wide receiver five in the league.
By the way, again, before we jump in here, Jacksonville is so bad. Like they are bad. Like
You don't know what Jacksonville you're getting each and every single week. Now they're playing like Duval, not Duval. Come on, guys.
yeah,
We're
just
gonna
like
be we're gonna be at that game soon. So,
uh,
that's gonna
oh God.
hopefully both teams can get it together by that point, but I highly doubt it.
Oh my God. Talk about live streaming from the worst game ever. Yeah, later in the year we'll be at the the Jets Jaguars game. That'll be fun. By the way, again, before we jump in, we should like just to to tell everybody that we have bad beats just as much as everybody else.
Yeah.
So in our high stakes league, the league that we are in a clear second place for, and we're having a nice year, and we're going to make a real push for the playoffs. We had the Jonathan Taylor. We have Jonathan Taylor on a team, who is helping our team, and is a big part of our team. And we squandered a 50-point game from Jonathan Taylor, partially because we had Brock Bowers 3 points week, DJ Moore 0 points, DK Metcalf, whatever it was,
Yeah.
3 points. I mean, you have a bunch of guys like that, you could lose a week, which is one of the reasons I wanted to bring up. And Tommy brought it up a couple weeks ago. Never give up.
Yeah.
Never give up, never surrender. Like you have a chance to come back, even if you think you're in like you're playing a juggernaut, or if you're playing a team has takes such a gigantic lead, or if you're 2-5 or something. You always have a chance to come back if you stick with it, play your matchups and stuff.
Yeah.
Because you have bad beats, and just like us, we
And
squandered that.
and I'll say this, and I was talking up a chat. I'm in a 14-man league, and this is a different high stakes league, but there's a 14-man league that I'm in, and basically there's a 1-9, a 0-9 team. And I was talking to him on the side, and he's like, "Yeah, I kind of given up." And at this point, I'm 0-9, and I was like, "Dude, you can make if you win out 5-9, you can make it, because there are teams that are 2-3 wins. There's 8 playoff spots.
Oh, if
So
there's 8, then
so
absolutely.
so 8 playoff spots. If you are 5-9, you could fit in that eighth playoff spot. Especially this team has medium points, so that could bolster it up. If there's another 5-9 team, you can actually take the lead on those 5-9 other teams. So you have to put that in perspective. Like, you have to think, hey, let me just put up the most amount of points each and every single week, and hopefully I get a win here. The
Sure.
guy won this week. Now he's 1-9.
Yeah.
So, and we actually made a trade together, which helped him get that win, right?
Yeah.
And I actually took a player, and I did get Ladd McConkey in the trade, which was great for me. But this guy got some other pieces.
Right.
The point is,
You're
the
such
point
a vulture.
the point is, you have to make trades that are going to help your team, but you have to make trades that are going to help the other team as well too, especially in this position right here. If you're trading with an 0-9 team, you don't want to feel like this person's like not, that fully gave up. They have not given up. They won this week.
Well, good for them.
Good for
But
them.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm not going to comment on the trade or vulturing or anything like that. But I will comment on the sentiment, which is you're absolutely right. You keep it going. You keep trying to fight, and until it's like literally over.
It's
But
not over until the fat lady sings.
yeah,
It's not over until you're mathematically eliminated.
yeah, yeah. We'll be covering a lot of mathematical eliminations today. We have man. As I was compiling some of the drop candidates for the various positions. Man, this is gonna be a great show. This is gonna be a great show. You ready to jump right in here?
Let's go.
Yeah, so week 11 here, we got two teams going on by the Colts and the Saints, and that's relevant for a bunch of guys that we're going to
Yeah.
talk about here. So we'll make a point to mention where that affects us. So running backs right at the top. Drop candidates, IR guys, we'll get them out the way first. Austin Ekeler, James Conner, Najee Harris, Miles Sanders, Kendre Miller, and Cam Skateboo. If they are still on your team, let them go. Other drop candidates now. So we previewed this at the beginning. This is going to be an interesting conversation. Let's start with Nick Chubb. Okay, widely owned, but let me just give you the snap counts from this past week in the game in which they came back in the fourth and won with Davis Mills at quarterback. Woody Marks, 54 snaps. Nick Chubb, 10. Dario Gumbawale, 5. Chubb hasn't had a good game since week 5. And if Dario Gumbawale is going to be splitting with him on backup duties, why are you rostering Chubb? What is he going to get for your team?
Nothing. I mean, you could try to trade him away for somebody that finds value there, but
The name?
I'd probably try to trade him before I drop him. You're only dropping him for value, and one of these other players that we'll talk about in general opinion could be one of those value pickups. So but again, before the waivers clear tonight, you might want to start fielding offers for some of these guys that you're going to potentially drop, so you can maybe get better value out of it.
Yeah. All right. I'm glad you're in the same sentiment. Like, actually, I was a lot of the guys we're going to be talking about today. Like, it's week 11. It's like put up or shut up time. Like, I'm kind of we got to move on from like a lot of these players, and Nick Chubb is like feels like one of those like what are you doing type
Yeah,
of players at this point. All right, here's another one. Jordan Mason. Okay.
another
Uh,
name.
so it's not like he dominated in Jones's absence. He in the past 3 weeks here, 1.6 points, 4.7 points, 4.1 points. Um,
It's
you're
not
trying,
it's not the same offensive line that it was in San Francisco. They're slightly it's slight downgrade, but he should be performing a little bit better, and he's not.
right, and I think it's very close to just at this point. Maybe it's more of just relegating as a handcuff, which could be valuable, I guess, if you're the Jones owner. But it wasn't pretty when he
Let's
had the backfield.
let's
I
put it
mean,
this way. I'd rather have the next guy we're talking about than Jordan Mason. And I don't want the next player we're talking
all
about.
right. Well, let's talk about the next drop candidate, Tommy. Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, aka JCM, aka
Bill.
Bill, whatever you want to call him. Okay, widely available. 5 straight awful games. Not bad, awful. And he's got one more game against the buzzsaw Miami Dolphins before heading into a bye.
And know who's cutting into his touchdown production?
Chris Rodriguez, he rolls into the end zone. But we'll talk about it. We got it. There's a lot to talk about Washington here. So they got Miami. They're heading into the bye. I don't care that JCM is called the lead. And so I actually wrote down the snap counts here. So JCM had 24, Rodriguez had 18, and McNichols had 17. Like, I don't know what else to make of this thing. You can't play any of these.
They're going to be running the ball a lot for the rest of the season, basically, with Mariota there.
That's
And
right.
I don't think that JCM has value in this offense at this point. I didn't think he had value in this offense from the beginning. I thought it was a Fugazi, which it was. So
I was about to, and just to give you a little feather in the cap, I was going to include Rodriguez as maybe a general option, but you can't play any of in reality, you
no,
really can't play any of
no,
them.
you can't play any of them. You're almost past the crazy bye weeks. You're almost past it. You're not even thinking about rostering one of these guys at this point. You have to roster more upside, and you're not going to get upside from a technically quad running back game. Actually, there's 5 running backs potentially back there, including Debo Samuel.
Yeah, just to reiterate, Washington's schedule here, okay,
Is
at
horrible.
at Miami, who again is upstart now, bye, and then Denver. Like I feel like now look, I just want to point something out, Tommy. These three guys, Nick Chubb, Jordan Mason, JCM, you drop them, somebody's going to pick them up
That's
for sure.
fine.
But
Well, we'll find out who they drop.
yeah, well, I was gonna say, yeah, like you gotta start making some things. Yeah, I can't see the value there.
There's been plenty of times where I'm vulturing to see who's dropping somebody so I can pick them up within waivers or add drops, whatever it is. But I'm going to put a waiver claim in for somebody that's going to drop somebody based on bye weeks that they need to fill a roster spot, stuff like that. Those are things like where you have to play smart. And, if you're making trades to bolster your roster, you have to hoard the waiver wire.
I agree. All right, last drop candidate here, and it's relevant. So Bam Knight. Now we don't exactly know what his injury situation was, but let's assume that he's in. They got a crowded backfield now. Like it's Demercado's in there. Benson might be coming back this week. Carter's getting involved. They're home versus San Francisco. It's not the best matchup, but like they're going to be involved in playing a lot of these guys. So maybe I'm not excited about doing it. And also, Arizona's bad at the moment. I got it. Brissett's giving them a little bit better of a ceiling than would otherwise be with Kyler. But I feel like maybe pay really close attention to the news here. Is there any information that we don't have at this moment that maybe you saw this morning?
Um, Not yet. It's showing that he's healthy
Eh,
right now. But again, here's the thing with what happened last week. They just were in a buzzsaw and they were down 28-0. I think it was the first quarter. There was 2 defensive touchdowns. There was 2 quick offensive touchdowns. It was very, very quick. There's no reason to run the ball. They had to pass the ball. That's the reason why it was a bounce back for Jacoby Brisset. I anticipated it being not the greatest week for Jacoby Brisset last week, but I do believe that this team can bounce back. They do have some decent chemistry, especially with Brisset back there. I feel like this team is more of a a better turning wheel right now than it is with Kyler. I did make a comment about Kyler basically playing Call of Duty. He was in a Call of Duty tournament. He's technically in a Call of Duty tournament the next couple weeks. So I think Jacoby Brisset has a bounce back. And same thing with Bam Knight. If he's healthy, he's definitely somebody I kind of want to roster until Benson's back.
Well, let's parlay that. So let's just parlay that talking about Arizona because we've got the other Arizona backs in general options. So let's just talk about the whole thing. So, okay, Bam Knight, Emari Demercado, Michael Carter, and Trey Benson. Four backs. Which of them should be rostered?
I think Bam Knight. Demercado, he was at 42% snap as well. So he was high, he was a higher percent snap percentage, but there you're talking about two pass down backs. They had both of them in the backfield at times. So, it just
He looked good, Emari
he now,
Demercado.
yeah, he does, and I think that he's kind of getting the nudge now. But I think Bam Knight is still somebody that I'd probably hold on to before Benson comes. You got to think Benson is a different style of a running back than both of those guys. So
Sure.
you're talking about style. Now, who is going to hold up? I think right now they're testing the waters to see who's basically going to take that lead of the pass down back when Benson is back. And I think Knight holds that.
Oh, I disagree. I think Knight's more of the workhorsey kind of guy. I think Demercado is the more passing down kind of guy, which is why I
Okay.
was bringing it up. Like, if it like of all four of those names, I would want Benson and I would want Demercado. Which again, blasphemy for me because he dropped the ball at the 1 yard line however many weeks ago. But other than that, that's why I have Bam Knight as a drop candidate because how could you roster Bam Knight now in that backfield unless Benson's not coming back and Bam Knight
Again,
is fully healthy? Like I
again,
don't.
it's the same situation that we were talking about with Nick Chubb, Jordan Mason, JCM. I mean, first off, I mean, if I was a league manager and I was looking for upside, I probably wouldn't have any of these players on the Cardinals running back room on my roster. And the reason is because I don't know if I'm ever going to start one of them. Let's just say this. If I'm looking at,
A
say, if
lot of
I'm,
people threw DeMarcado in this past week.
I will say but again, as we get closer to the playoffs, these buys are starting to dissipate. And are you really necessarily needing to have this roster spot? Personally, I feel, and you may be different, but as I get closer to the playoffs, I want to look into, if I'm making a playoff push, then I have to obviously have depth. But if I'm locked into the playoff most likely and I have a really solid lineup, I'm probably going to have backup handcuffs to my quarterback, backup handcuffs to my tight end, and just kind of look into the future what those matchups look for. If I'm in that position, I'm not really going to have a Bam Knight on my roster or DeMarcado on my roster. I'm not going to have one of those guys there because I don't see the upside that, Chase Brown now has that I was benching him the entire season, right?
Right.
So there's no way because right now in one league I'm flexing Chase Brown for the rest of the year, most likely. I don't see an opportunity for me to flex or put in DeMarcado into that spot. So, if I'm in that kind of position,
Well, things
there
change. I mean,
things change. But again, I'd rather have more upside with a Tajae Spears, which we could talk about next, than a DeMarcado, because I feel like there's greater upside in that position there.
we're in week 11 now. This is starting to get a little irritating. Like we're in week 11 now. We have been talking about Houston, Washington, and Arizona's backfields. That's been 50% to 70% of our conversation in running backs of general options the whole year. And we're gonna because those are the only backfields
It's,
that are amorphous.
it's because the injuries.
It's the injuries, the amorphous situation, Mixon's nonsense, and all this other crap. Like and by the way, Tommy, like to answer your question in a rhetorical way, like The reason that it's relevant to people is because starting running backs have to be rostered. There is relevance there. People want that 11 points to 11 to
Yeah,
12, 14
but
points out of a running
but
back too.
Emari Demercado is not a starting running back. He's never going to be a starting running back. So
No, he's no, he's not. But if he becomes, let's say if Benson's not there, if he's the lead guy
he's not going to be the lead
in it,
guy. They have too many hands in the pot there.
well, then why would Bam Knight be somebody that you'd want to
because
roster then?
because he's been consistent. He's been consistent. Last week was a dud week, and it was because of the system. It was because of where they fell in that game.
Okay. I'll say this just to make it easy for everybody where we can agree. If Bam Knight is injured or limited in some way, don't even bother. I would say just let it go. And if you want to take a shot just as an emergency, maybe to get in some points, fine. Demercado is there. But the moment Benson comes back, I think that's the end of the empire for any of these other Arizona backs. I think that's basically now. Do me a favor, can like maybe while we talk, can you check out Benson's latest update? Because it should happen at some point. Like it's imminent. They keep talking
Yeah,
about it.
like I said though, like I'm more on the consistent double-digit touches, and Bam Knight has the double-digit touches over Demercado.
Okay.
Um,
It's just a
so
weird back. It's a weird backfield.
well, again, I wouldn't touch it.
Yeah. All right. Let's let's get out of Arizona. Let's talk about a
Yeah,
couple other
Trey
guys.
Benson misses practice again, so
We're gonna be talking about Arizona for the rest of the year.
no, let's move on. No more Arizona.
Yeah. All right. So, couple other names for you. This is not gonna be a fun week with guys that you could pick up. But we'll do our best here. By far, the top name on this list is Tajae Spears. We've been talking about him for however many weeks in a row. Tennessee's coming out of a bye, but there's a good chance he might not be available. He's a 38% in ESPN owned and 53% in sleeper. If he's there, he's by far the best pickup. We've been talking about it like he is the more it seems to be he's the more explosive guy out of him and Pollard in Tennessee. He's been fairly consistent as of late. But Tommy, my point to you is it's just the ceiling is really low, but
Yep.
maybe that's fine. Maybe you don't need a gigantic ceiling. You just need consistency. I know you're a fan of Spears, so he's on the waiver wire. You're picking him right up.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's past his bye week now, and I think that this could be a really nice flex play moving forward. I value him over any of the other guys that are
Oh,
on this
I
pickup right here.
couldn't agree more. I value him in the whole Arizona backfield.
And I've
Uh,
been telling you guys for the past
yeah,
number of weeks. I don't even know how many weeks at this
since he
point,
came
but
back from the injury.
actually, no. I've been telling you guys to draft him.
Well, I would have pushed
I've been
back
telling
in.
you guys to draft him in the latest round. If you have a 15 round draft him in
And
the
if you have an
15th round.
IR or
If
something.
you have an IR, exactly.
Right.
I literally have told you to draft him. So
Right.
here it is. Like this guy is going to put up numbers. He's going to be in 50+% of the snaps. He's going to get multi touches. He's going to get basically double digit touches. He's going to rush. He's going to get touchdowns. He's going to get, you know,
He's
great.
also going up against Houston and Seattle the next 2 weeks.
Cool. They need to pass the ball.
All right. Yeah. We're in full agreement. He's the top pick if he's available. He might not be. So let's talk about some more disgusting names. So Tommy's favorite player in the whole wide world, Devin Singletary. So he had a decent game, and honestly, the way it looks like the Giants are going to be rolling, Tommy, is they're just going to 50-50 him and Tracy, basically.
Yep.
Let's just talk narrative street. So Brian Dable got fired, and Dable was, kind of like you were
Dibble was the
pointing out,
Singletary guy.
he was the Singletary guy. So I don't know exactly what to make of that. I mean, you guys could decide. But again, if you're just looking to get opportunity and touches out of a running back, there you go. There's opportunity and touches out of a running back.
If I will say this, if the Giants were smart,
And they aren't.
I and they aren't right now. They're a little smarter than the Jets, but that's not
Oh,
really going
that's a
that far.
low bar, man.
All right. If I was the Giants after losing last week, after losing multiple games by being the lead and letting up all those points, I would just rest your players for the rest of the season.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Dart,
Put in,
especially.
yeah, take out Dart. Dart got injured. He's getting literally injured every single game. He has nagging injuries here and there. Put in Jameis. Put in Jameis. Give us some fantasy relevance, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right. Maybe cut down the amount of snaps for Tracy because he is, a nice performer for them as well too. Put Devin Singletary in there. Let him be, a fantasy winner for everybody.
Yes. And it's funny. I
Devin
mean,
Singletary.
and the fact that we're talking about Devin Singletary, and by the way, we're mentioning Devin Singletary, it's not like he's widely available either. He's 37% at ESPN, 49% in Sleeper. So he might not even be available for you.
Yeah.
So let's try to talk about some more disgusting names that might actually be available on your waiver wire. Get ready, everybody. We're talking about Tyler Badie. So
Is it
all right.
Bidet or Bidet?
All right, so this is going to be a 1 week rental. So Dobbins did hurt himself. He's going to be okay, but I doubt he plays in on this game here. Denver is at home against Kansas City, and then they have a bye. More than likely, just everything I saw, that looks like they're going to rest him, which basically means you're going to get a heavy dose of Ryan Harvey, but Ryan Harvey is not going to get every single snap.
Yeah.
The next guy up there, believe it or not, is Tyler Badie. No matter how much Tommy and I think Jaleel McLaughlin is super talented, nope, it's going to be Tyler Badie. That's how Sean Payton sees it. So if you want some touches and you want some opportunity, there you go, ladies and gentlemen, Tyler Badie. So how
Um,
valuable that is against Kansas
not
City,
not
you just
very high because remember we saw what Ashton Genty did against Kansas City. So
I agree.
uh
But again, some people be looking for rentals, man. So I just thought we'd mention it. Let's talk about Sean Tucker real quick. Sean Tucker, who's kind of a darling of both of ours, we recognized he wasn't getting the opportunity in the absence of Irving, but magically he has the last 2 weeks. So right before the bye, he had a pretty nice game. And this past game, it was fairly decent. They're starting to give him a little more work. We don't they're doing this stupid coach speak thing again, like we talked about last week with Irving, to like not answer questions, what's going on with him. I don't know what that means. Maybe that means he'll never be back. I don't know. But I know that in his absence, it looks like Sean Tucker is starting to get more involved. And, Tommy, he had those big blow up games a couple times in the past. Their matchups are fairly okay. I mean,
those big blow up games came from touchdowns. So, there I think it was a game last year he scored 3 touchdowns and or 2 touchdowns, whatever it was. They did like 14 or 15 points, but he's not going to get massive yardage. Um and again, I don't know if they need him. They just lean so much on that passing game. And I think it's more like a 70-30 kind of pass split right now.
no, you're about right. And,
And
the
you
bu
can't really just lean on touchdowns if you're in an only touchdown league, which there are some of those, that I think that's like the 2 percenters right there. He could be somebody you can potentially because if Irving's not in there, you could probably see him leaning in for a touchdown, especially against Buffalo. Buffalo hasn't been playing so great past couple weeks. But I just don't know if he's somebody that I want to roster unless it's deep.
well, right. But well, Tommy, we just said none of these were, this wasn't going to be that good other than Spears, really. You know,
All
it's
right, so
it
Spears it is. Move on.
well, some people are in deep situations and they need an emergency play. So that's about as good as you're going to get, ladies and gentlemen, with the guys that we named. Nobody else really. Now we're going to go through the depth charts here real quick, and we just wanted to mention, because these names are as disgusting as they are, you probably should be trying to get your handcuffs if you have one. So maybe that should take priority for you over trying to get somebody like Spears. So let's run through this pretty quick. Arizona, we talked about, and I hate talking about them. We're just going to move on with our lives.
Yep.
All right. Atlanta, Bijan Algiers, the handcuff. Baltimore, Henry and Hill's the handcuff. Buffalo. Oh, this is, man, it's victory lap lane here. It just continues and continues. James Cook, and it's like 70,000 million% clear. The handcuff is Ty Johnson. It is not Ray Davis. You saw the game. It is what it is. Okay.
Okay.
But you know what? If you don't believe me and you want to go against the green, fine. Go ahead and roster Davis as a handcuff. But you heard of here. The advertisement is for Ty Johnson.
I still don't agree, but it's fine.
Fine. Just the whole year, the whole year it's one way. Carolina, Rico and Chuba are going to 50-50 it. And Rico, hopefully he just continues to perform in a really good way. But their usage is going to be 50-50. Chicago. So Swift came back. It relegated Monangai back to being the full backup, but he is super high value if you're, especially if you're the Swift owner. So he's definitely worth keeping roster because you saw what he does in Swift's absence. So
Yeah, I
Swift,
mean he's still productive, even with him being in there.
he was, but it wasn't a gigantic explosion. Cincinnati, you only need to roster Brown. P. Ryan had the high ankle sprain. It's not worth it. So only need to roster Brown. Cleveland, you only need to roster Judkins. Dallas, you only need to roster Javonte. I can't wait to see what they do with their backups now coming out the bye. Can't wait to be talking about Phil Maffa in the future. That'll be fun. Denver, we talked about it. Dobbins should be rostered. Harvey's going to have a good game, but you decide if you want to roll with Tyler Badie or anything. Detroit, Gibbs and Montgomery. Green Bay, Jacobs is the starter, and I have to mention Emmanuel Wilson is the handcuff, but keep an eye on Marshawn Lloyd whenever he comes back. He could be a valued part of the offense. Moving on. Houston, we talked about the situation. Indianapolis. So they're heading into the bye. Taylor's the best back in football. So in terms of a handcuff, though, we still think it's Giddens, but Giddens is not getting any work at all, which might not matter. And I kind of halfway agree with Tommy's sentiment about that. It'd be nice to get Giddens on the field a little bit. But the way that it looks like it's like Goodson is kind of splitting the
I think it's good, son.
I still think it's Giddens, but we don't know. So you guys can judge that as it is. Jacksonville, ETN, and Tootin is the handcuff. Kansas City, Pacheco and Hunter going to 50-50, although Pacheco is coming off that injury, so keep an eye on that. Las Vegas, Junty is the only guy worth rostering there. The Chargers, Hampton's going to come back eventually in his absence. Vidal's the only guy worth rostering. The Rams, Kyron is the man. Corum is the handcuff. Miami, Tommy, I want to get your opinion on this one. So Achan's the man, and Achan is, one of the best players in fantasy football this year. So, Gordon was outsnapped by Jalen Wright in this game. Do you make anything of that, or do you think this is connected to the nonsense from last week?
I have no idea. Honestly, if it's connected to the nonsense from last week, that coaching room, that coaching staff gotta go because that was not
They
Ollie
won the game
Gordon's problem.
handily.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know. I don't know.
you want to give it
Ollie,
one
Ollie
one
Go
more week before we overreact to that?
you have to give it another week. I mean, Ollie Gordon is very, very talented.
Okay. No, he is very talented, but again, completely fully outsnapped there. Minnesota, we talked about the situation. New England, Stevenson and Henderson. Stevenson should be, if he's not back from injury this week, it doesn't matter anyway after Henderson's performance. And they're at home against the New York Jets. Henderson is going to crush them. So, but both of those guys should be rostered. New Orleans, uh, Tommy, there was a league that Kamara was dropped. Now, I don't think I would go that far, but I can understand people's frustration with him. So let's just assume Kamara should be rostered. I don't think that you should roster any of the backups there, although there's some promise in Devin Neal. I
Yeah.
mean, does it even matter?
Am I in that
Really?
league?
No,
Oh, you should
no.
probably pick him up.
Somebody else picked up Kamara after he was dropped, but I
Oh.
understand. I understand the owner's frustration. I get it. I would.
Yeah, he's not droppable. I mean, he's still Alvin Kamara. Again, he's on bye this week. Maybe they
Right.
make, some changes. Again, he didn't want to get traded because he wants to be a Saint for life. So
Right.
be a Saint for life.
Yeah. So, if you're asking me, I would say Devin Neal is not worth rostering because the handcuff in New Orleans is probably not that valuable. So you guys can judge it as it is.
Yeah.
The Giants, we talked about it. The Jets, Brees Hall is the man, and I guess that Isaiah Davis is okay to roster. I mean, Tommy, I don't know if I agree with your sentiment that they're gonna sit down Hall at some point throughout the rest of the year. So
We'll
maybe
see.
Davis is just handcuff territory. We'll see. Another game or two. Philadelphia, Barkley is the man, and Bigsby is the handcuff. Although Shipley got a lot of work this past game. I don't know if you saw. So keep
Oh,
him
I
on.
saw. I saw. There was a lot, there was a lot of different I mean, Barkley wasn't even I think he might have gotten like 75, 78% of the snaps, to be honest.
He did.
So it wasn't high.
No, you're right. Well, it's still, but it's right around the normal workhorse rate. They're gonna have to put up points to this coming week against Detroit, so maybe we'll get a better sense of like their whole offense at that point.
Mm.
Pittsburgh, Warren is a beast and Gainwell is the handcuff. San Francisco, McCaffrey is God and Robinson's the handcuff. Seattle, Walker and Charbonnet. It's full 50-50. Charbonnet happened to have the touchdown, so he ended up with a bit more points. It's not like it was that good.
Charbonnet is their goal line back.
He
That's
is,
it.
but I thought Walker just looked better though. I mean,
It doesn't matter. I mean, they both were not egregiously productive because of they were already up. It just felt like they were just playing their third stringers by halftime.
Tampa Bay, we talked about it. Irving when he comes back, so I guess keep rostering him. Rashad White, yes, and we talked about it. Tucker in really deep leagues. Tennessee, we talked about it. Pollard and Spears are 50-50ing it. And Washington, we talked about it. I don't want to roster a single one of them, but I know that the second that you drop JCM, somebody's going to pick him up. So you guys could judge.
That's
You guys could
fine.
judge
Let
that.
somebody else, get the worry and,
Yeah.
decide to start him somewhat for some reason.
Yep. Let's go on to wide receivers. IR drops. Malik Nabers, Tyreek Hill, Mike Evans. If any of them are still on your roster, let them go. Other drop candidates now. Now we get into fights here. Okay, top name on this list, Keenan Allen, Mr. Lang. Keenan Allen. Now let me sell it to you, okay? He's been the wide receiver 59 the past 3 weeks. Very little production since the emergence of Oronde Gadsden, and he had the test or whatever. He's not. Oronde Gadsden's going to be fine. He only has bruised quads. If he misses any time, it'll be one game. Um, they are at Jacksonville, and then going into a bye. I think Keenan Allen is perfectly fine if you want to drop him. I know you love
I
Keenan Allen,
don't
but
know if I don't think you should drop him yet. I think this is the final week. If he has a bad week against Jacksonville, then he could be gone because he doesn't need to be rostered on your
through a bye.
team through a bye if you need that roster space. I just find it very, very difficult to drop him.
Okay. Next name, we talked about him last week. It's not a debate. Travis Hunter still, I mean, I was amazed. He's still 100% owned
Yeah.
in Sleeper. So he's not going to be back for another 3 weeks minimum. I mean, we're already in week 11. And even when he does, you got Jacoby Myers, you got Parker Washington, Brian Thomas will be healthy at that point. And maybe he'll have defensive relevance, like Tommy was saying, but offensively, no. Just let him go. Let it
Mhm.
go. Other than if you're in IDP league. Next name on this list, and Tommy deserves a little credit for this one for just, I mean, so Josh Downs, he is a drop candidate. I mean, Alec Pierce is the number two receiver. He's 1-1A really with Pittman on that team. In a competitive game, Josh Downs only put up one catch on two targets, and they're heading into the bye.
And he was also utilized very, very heavily in the special teams game.
Right. Yeah, I think Pierce is the clear, and we'll talk about him later,
Pierce
but
is the bigger bodied guy that has almost equal speed as Josh Downs. Now, Josh Downs is going to have his weeks, but
I
I
think he's
think
faster than
Pierce,
Downs.
but Downs is gonna have his weeks, but he's gonna have more, down weeks than actually, the up weeks. So
Yeah, the Downs weeks. Yeah.
I was trying
Uh,
not to go there.
it
So
seemed like you were trying to avoid that pun.
yes,
So,
I was. I
all right.
was.
I got a couple names here, Tommy, that I think it's worth bringing up because this is starting to get really frustrating for everybody, and I know for both of us too. Okay, Ricky Pearsall. What are they doing? Is he coming back this year? Why? Like, why should somebody not drop him?
Well, it kind of sucks that I basically traded for a guy that hasn't played for me yet in one league. But in return, the guy that we also have on
Yeah,
this
we'll
list,
talk about that. Yeah.
we'll talk about him if you miss because you actually have him on there and
It's
he
amazing how
was a
we
heavy
could
pick.
both it's amazing how we could both make a trade with each other and we both lose, which is
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. In return, I got Alshon Jeffrey out of it. But anyway,
That wasn't
uh
me. I didn't trade you
no, no,
last
no,
week.
no, no, no,
Yeah.
I know. But I traded Charbonnet for that.
There's other
It was a
pieces.
package. It was other
Yeah,
pieces.
there's
It
other
wasn't
pieces. Yeah, but Ricky Pearsall.
Ricky Pearsall. I again feel like you need to hold. If you held this long, that means that
Right.
you don't need that roster space. So I feel like just hold on to him.
It is aggravating,
It's
though.
very aggravating because I felt that maybe 2 weeks after I acquired him, what, 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, I thought he was going to play. He wasn't on IR. right? So, I
I might have had some insider info that it was going to
oh,
be a
insider
longer,
info. Oh,
that it was going to be a,
you're friends with Mr. Shanahan over there?
no, but it was going to be a longer, no, I'm not friends with Kyle Shanahan, but I had a feeling it was going to be, let's just put it this way. I had a feeling it was going to be longer than what they were saying. Put
Okay.
it that way. But I agree with your sentiment. If you held on for him that long, I guess keep holding him. But it's just, for anybody, like if he was to be dropped, I don't know if I would pick him up.
Yeah.
Let's talk about more misery. Chris Godwin, is he coming back this year?
Late in the season, I just think that, he is somebody that he was on waivers. He could be somebody that you can, I feel like he could be somebody, if you have a deep roster, you could pick him up now and just hold him. If you have an IR spot, he's just been sitting there because he's out as well too. But if you are needing the space, I definitely think that he is somebody that could be gone, especially with those wide receivers that are out this week with Olave, Pittman, Pierce, so on and so forth.
Yeah, same question. Terry McLaurin, is he coming back this year?
I think he's done.
League is done.
I think he's done. I don't think there's a reason to roster him anymore.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I felt that way about 2 weeks ago, and it's more and more confirmation. I did bring this up in the waiver the show, the live show on TikTok, that they're teetering for some reason, saying that that what's his name, Jaden Daniels is going to come back potentially this week. The guy dislocated his elbow.
Right, but he didn't tear anything.
No, but he dislocated his elbow. Let me just give you this my thoughts about this. Do you know who's Hard Knocks right now? In season Hard Knocks?
No, here comes the
The
conspiracy.
NFC East.
Okay.
They're making some sort of momentum and build up and drama to basically because there's nothing else right now. Like the Eagles are on top right now, and then you have the Cowboys who haven't been great defensively. They've been losing games. They've been playing decent football on the offensive side. And then you have the Giants and you have the Commanders, right? Like what else kind of storylines do they have to put together? They have they have basically the best offensive player on the Commanders hurt 17 times this year, right? And now he has a dislocated elbow and he's potentially coming back. Like, come on, bro. Like he's not coming back. It's over.
So you're happy to say it's worth just dropping McLaurin then. He'll get picked up the second he gets dropped.
Yeah, that's fine. Let him get
Yeah.
picked up.
Okay.
That he's going to get picked up for, and you may be able to pick up the player that person dropped.
All right, let's
Swap
talk.
picks. Or maybe try to trade them. Like these could be trade candidates as well too.
They could, if anybody, like a lot of the trade deadlines are passed now. But yeah, if you
Some
can,
of
maybe.
them, some of them end this week. Week 11 is atypically the middle of the pack. Week
I,
10, week 11.
I can tell you this: if I could trade Terry McLaurin for Jacoby Myers, I would, 100% right
There's a
now.
possibility you could do that, but I don't know if anybody's going to trade after we're talking about this, and a lot of people talking about this.
There's
No.
certain people we know.
I mean, I feel like Chris Godwin, Ricky Pearsall, and maybe our next guy could be somebody to trade for, but I think it's the
Ugh.
Pearsall and Godwin direction.
Okay, let's talk about Garrett Wilson. So,
Or I mean, trade away. Sorry, trade away.
so Garrett Wilson. So I was at that game. Now
You
he
got hurt too.
how do I want to say this? Like I don't know if he plays the rest of the season is probably the short way of saying it.
There's no reason.
He's not going to play. He's not going to play next week. I don't care what they tweet. I don't care what he says. I don't care what the Q says on ESPN or anything like that. He's not playing next week. And at minimum, I can't see him playing at Baltimore either. That's so let's just say he misses the next 2 weeks. He comes back. He's in the exact same position he was this past week where he tweaked his knee and then he was out again. The amount of risk that would be there in playing him again. So you need to pay attention to the news, pay attention to everything. I got it. It's going to be really hard to drop Garrett
Yeah,
Wilson.
it's gonna be really hard to drop him because also his matchups for the next
I know. After
if
that,
if you look at it like for the next 7 weeks, 5 or 6 matchups are like juicy. But the problem is
you got to get there.
when your quarterback's throwing the ball 11 times
Right.
and for 54 yards,
Right.
what's that getting you?
So, yeah, I agree with what you're saying. Pay attention to the news. If they again, it's a good shot. It's a good chance that they shut him down. If they say that they're not shutting him down and they don't put him on IR, I'm not gonna drop him. I want to hold on at least because
I got
you've had him on your team. You're trying to roll with it. Very similar to what Tommy was saying about Ricky Pearsall.
just to piggyback off that though. Why wouldn't you think that Brees Hall gets shut down?
Because Brees Hall
If
is not injured.
I understand that, but if there is a risk of injury as the season goes on, or if he's just not performing or not giving it his all, right? I understand he wants his contract. I just don't think he wants his contract with the Jets, and I don't
But
think he wants to perform for the Jets.
that's the difference. They already have a long-term commitment to Garrett Wilson. They do not have one with Brees Hall. That's the
Yeah.
difference.
But what
So
happens to this guy just basically says, oh, I'm just going to fumble the ball and, take me out, please. I'm a fumble risk now.
because
Move on.
listen, you just can't because then you won't get like no team is gonna give you a contract at that point. You don't roll like that. Um,
I
so no,
mean,
so no,
Hassan
so
Riddick, Hassan Riddick, does things
yeah,
to
whatever.
that extent, but it's cool.
Yeah. So bottom line there is I just wanted to bring him up to talk about it. Pay attention to the news. Let's just say this: if they were to put him on IR this week, I would drop him. That means 4 games that you wouldn't have him leading into the playoffs. I would drop him.
Yeah.
That having been said, we don't know yet. So if it's like 2 games or such, I'll give it a go. So yeah, that's a lot of misery we talked about in wide receivers.
That's rough.
All right, let's talk about guys you could actually get. We got 2 names and probably owned. And so now it's I get to retake victory lap time, but let's start with Juwan Jennings. So with Pearsall out, Juwan Jennings is taking advantage. I mean, 2 straight great games, and the 2 games before that was perfectly solid. So Juwan Jennings, if he's magically on your waiver wires, go get him. And Troy Franklin, he just had another great game. He was one of the only players who was good this past game. I don't want to say he's better than Sutton, but he's 1-1A with Sutton right now. What's going on there? He's the wide receiver 15 since week 2. If anybody doesn't realize, that's how good Franklin has been. They got KC, and then they're going into a bye, and then they got a bunch of good matchups. So
Yeah.
Franklin needs to be on your team. So let's talk about widely available options here, Tommy. So, a lot of these names, we'll roll through it pretty quick. A lot of these names, they are more probably owned in Sleeper, but they're much lower on ESPN. So you might have trouble getting any one of these guys, but let's just name them real quick. Tez Johnson, pretty simple, great game and Godwin continue to be out, could be great for the rest
Yeah.
of the season. Alec Pierce, your darling. This is such a good call by you. He's quietly been having a great season. The wide receiver 11 since week 7. Pretty clear. He might even be the 1-1A with Pittman there. Parker Washington, we talked about Jacksonville. 3 straight good games, and especially with Brian Thompson Hunter out, could be great going forward. And the other 2 names are a little bit more disgusting here, but Darius Slayton, 2 good games in a row. I still think he's too volatile a little
Oh,
bit.
he had an unbelievable catch too.
He did.
Unbelievable catch.
How valuable do you see him? I mean, I still think I'd rather start Wandale in a full PPR, but
Well, I'd rather honestly, if I'm tossed between Parker Washington and Darius Slayton, I go with consistency in Parker
yeah.
Washington than Darius Slayton.
How about Darius Slayton or the next guy, Trey Tucker? After the Jacoby trade, I got it. It was a disgusting this past game, but Trey Tucker's the clear number 1.
I
And now they're
I
home
th
against Dallas.
I think this is the only game, and this is a Monday Night Football game. I think this is the only game that he can be productive for your roster. Outside of that, they got Cleveland and the Chargers. I'm just not sure if I feel he's season long stuff.
Maybe.
Stash.
Okay. I mean, the top 3 names that we mentioned there, Tez Johnson, Alec Pierce, and Parker Washington, I see as just in a tier of their own in terms of ads. I think that
Yeah.
they're but by far better than Darius Slayton and Trey Tucker, a little bit lower. And let's talk about more of a shot here. So Jaden Higgins, he was one of my darlings in the offseason leading into the draft. So it looks like he finally kind of stepping up a little bit here. He had a good game following a bad game, but he had a good game before that. He had a lot of promise. Maybe now that they're starting to light it up on offense a little bit, he has his chance to start coming to his own. And in case anybody's wondering, Christian Kirk hasn't had a relevant game since week 5. So maybe Higgins is fully taken over the number 2, and they got at Tennessee this week.
Yeah,
So
I don't know. I don't know because CJ Stroud obviously was out. So I just don't know if that was because of it being obviously your second string quarterback coming in and throwing the ball to a player that he throws to in practice. He has the comfortability there. There's times like where, when your backup quarterback is playing, you see it. You've been literally seeing it this entire season with the 49ers with Bourne and Jones. That's their guy he throws to in practice. That's the guy he feels comfortable with. Why wouldn't he utilize that on the field during a regular game? Same scenario, right? So I think when Stroud does come back, it's obviously, it's Collins season all day long.
Okay. No, I agree with that. And by the way, Davis Mills looked great.
He did.
I thought
He
he was
did.
I pointed him out as like an emergency
Yeah.
streamer.
He did. He definitely was a good play this week. But
We might be talking about them a little bit later too.
yeah.
Uh, so there we go. If I had any of those guys, like if Tez Johnson, Alec Pierce, or Parker Washington were not available, I might wait on putting in a claim and then try to pick up Jaden Higgins. That's what I would do. But I agree with Tommy's sentiments there. Let's talk some tight ends. Drop IR drop candidates. Tucker Kraft, he's out for the season. If he's still on your team, let him go. A lot of people still have him. He's not coming back. Other drop
Adios.
other drop candidates here. So, man, we're talking about him every week. TJ Hawkinson, let him go. I mean, this past week he had 2 catches. Like, just it's not you have no upside shot with him. It's just not turning into a thing. Um, Evan Ingram, we talked about him again. He followed up his 0 with a 2 for 12. Let him go. And so now, like Dalton Kincaid. Okay, so Dalton Kincaid got injured in the game. We all know hamstring. So he's going to be out at least a week. More than likely, he's going to be out 2 to 3 weeks. It is very difficult carrying 2 tight ends, but there is upside there. So I'll just mention if you think your team can support carrying 2 tight ends, keep them on your team. If you don't, I don't have a problem with dropping him. It's hard holding 2 tight ends. So do you agree with that? Or
I don't know. I mean, I feel like, especially, let me just piggyback this into our widely available one. You do have Dawson Knox in there as a widely available opportunity to add.
I see what you're saying.
I don't know if I would pick up Dawson Knox in place of Kincaid based on the injuries. Honestly, they're both streamable. I think Kincaid is a streamable guy at this point. He's not a plug and start week in, week out.
Oh, he's
Now,
been a must start up till now. I mean, he's been
mm,
great. He's been really great.
yeah, I don't know about great. I mean, he was, against Kansas City.
I think they missed him against Miami too.
Kansas City, he was number 3. He was the number 3 finisher against Carolina. He was the number 34. Then he was out at Atlanta, number 10, 19, 4, 19, 4. So, I mean, that's good. Obviously he had 4, 4, 10, 3 week, but you have outside the top 10 weeks, you have more outside the top 10. So it's a 50-50 shot. You're talking about, is it a boom or is it a bust? Is he going to get you 5 points or is he going to get you 17
So
points? And
therefore, you're not going to drop him though.
I'm not going to drop him. I'm going to hold him. I think he's somebody that if I'm looking for a shot, that's somebody I'll play. If I'm looking for stability, I might have to look at the next guy I would probably talk about, which is Juwan Johnson.
All right, let's go to probably owned because we got some good names here. So probably owned, we have the Cleveland situation, David Njoku and Harold Fannin. They're both probably owned and they're both probably
Yep.
going to remain probably owned and they're both probably decent starts for the rest of the season. No matter if it's Dylan Gabriel or Shador Sanders. So yeah, it's pretty simple. We know the deal with them. They're going to run their whole offense to through the through the tight ends. Coleston Loveland, again, he had a solid game following his monster performance. He's going to continue to be good, but now obviously and Komet was back splitting with him. It's just going to be a lower ceiling. So if you want some of the upside gone, but you want some solid consistency, Coleston Loveland is fine. I'm not that excited about it because I try to want higher ceiling, which is why we can talk about the next guy,
Mm-hmm.
Juwan Johnson. So the downside here is that he's heading into a bye. The upside here is he's the tight end 4 since week 7. And Shaheed is now gone. Tyler Show looked pretty good. Give him credit. Give the kid credit. He's
Yeah.
looking better. And obviously Juwan Johnson looked great in the beginning of the year. So we know that the consistency is going to be there. The
He
only
put on a
negative is it's
show.
a bye though.
He put
So
on a show. So
I would
there
try
you
to
know.
I would try to get him. It's going to be hard. I know it's going to be hard to manage your roster this week with that because he's on a bye, but I would try to pick him up. Um, so let's talk about widely available, man. And it's just you got to give some credit where credit's due. Dalton Schultz. He has quietly been having a great year. He's the tight end 7 since week 7. And now Houston seems to be opening up their playbook and, making moves or whatever. And they're at Tennessee this week. You need a tight end start this week. He could be one of them. He's good. Next guy here, I'm actually so much more excited about because I just know that there's going to be consistency for the rest of the year. Cade Otton, he's been the biggest beneficiary of Godwin's absence and Evans' absence. 5 straight good games, needs to be rostered and needs to be played. I'm basically going to be having him in probably starts probably for the rest of the year. I'm excited about Cade Otton. Theo Johnson, Tommy. I mean, there you go. 100% on point. Double green lights. Why don't you talk about Theo here?
Theo is going to get the targets. He's not going to get crazy amount of yards, but he's going to have an opportunity to score a touchdown. And also, I will say, I'm going to piggyback off of what I said earlier. If 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 Dart is going to rest, if they're going to rest Dart, they're going to make a smart move and rest him this week. And they don't play Russell Wilson, and they play a player in Jameis Winston who's on that roster, and let him throw footballs instead of eating crab legs. Let's go. That's an automatic start this week.
I agree. Theo Johnson since week 4, and that's when Dart took. I think he took over 3 or 4. He's the tight end 4 on the season since week 4. Theo Johnson's good. Um, and we had Dawson Knox here. It's our obligatory. Hey, the tight end the tight end goes down, so then you could pick up their backup tight end. We did that with Musgrave earlier, and we did that with Jake Tonjes earlier in the season. So you could judge how valuable that you think that is. So there we go. Any other tight end options, or I think we covered everybody there.
I think we cut everything there.
Yes. You ready to move on to streamers?
Yep.
Welcome to the A Stream for all you lovely listeners streaming quarterback and or defense, where we will do our very best to hook you guys up with widely available quarterbacks and defenses to win you your week. And we got a lot of interesting options here. And I tried to weed through the guys that had the best shots, the best matchups here. So let's just say top of the list here, it's the combination of CJ Stroud or Davis Mills. I think CJ Stroud is going to be playing. I don't care who it is. They're both going to be at Tennessee, so they're both perfectly fine. Although obviously Stroud is much more owned. He's 46 and 42 in the leagues. Mills would be available, but just keep an eye on that. I think that's such a great matchup. We talked about it already. Aaron Rodgers at home against Cincinnati, 5 touchdowns, 6 touchdowns, 7 touchdowns. Let's go against the worst defense in football. But let's pretend, Tommy, that those guys are not available. Among the other options we have here, real quick, JJ McCarthy, Tua Tagovailoa, Jacoby Brisset, Marcus Mariota, Joe Flacco, and Mac Jones. Who would you be most interested in trying to pick up?
So I think Flacco would have been somebody that I feel really good about. I just don't know about at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, again, it just depends on what's Pittsburgh's that's showing up. They do play better defense at home. JJ McCarthy wasn't so great last week.
He's at home against Chicago, though. I like that.
I know. I think honestly, the player that I would play this week would be either Aaron Rodgers or Marcus Mariota against Miami.
At
Yeah.
Miami.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm surprised you said that. I think it's going to be horrific, but I think I would say Tua Tagovailoa at home against Washington.
I don't know. I just don't know what Tua shows up. I mean, even though he didn't technically have a great week last week against the Bills, it was Devon Achane. So honestly, I think that I would lean Rodgers against Cincinnati. Against Cincinnati's defense got worse before their bye week. And it's, but again, they do play good. It's a divisional game. So, I think Rodgers is good for at least at minimum. His floor is 2 touchdowns for maybe 200 yards, 180 yards, 200 yards. Could be more. Should be more. So I think that's where I would say that's my number one guy right there.
Okay. I think he's such a good play this week. I still think Stroud or Mills would be my number one. But they might be harder to acquire. But I couldn't agree with you more about Rodgers. Let's talk some defenses. So we got a couple good options for you guys. So the Falcons, they're widely available. They are at home against Carolina. The aberration that you saw, the horrific aberration that you saw. I mean, it's hard to. We don't exactly know what we make of Carolina, but we know that Atlanta's at home. They play better at home, so you could roll with the Falcons, and the line suggests the
Hmm.
same thing. The Chargers are at Jacksonville. That horrific nonsense, I think that's perfectly fine, especially after what the Chargers did to the Steelers. The Chiefs are widely available. They're at Denver. That's, and Denver has not been, you know, impressing us offensively. And the Ravens, we should mention, okay, they're 51% owned in sleeper in ESPN and 49% in sleeper, so they might not be available, but we just thought we should mention they are at Cleveland and they've been very good as of late. So if they're available, they're a good option too. I think among these, if the Ravens are not available and they might not be, I think the Falcons have a really good week this week. So
We'll see.
yeah, they're all good options. And so there we go. That's the end. Just thought I'd mention. I actually should have mentioned it at the top. So all of our drop candidates and all of our waiver options will be posted in the description of this episode's video on YouTube. So please check us out there as well. Closing thoughts, Mr. Lang?
No, again, we truly appreciate everybody that takes the time to watch our videos, and we obviously drop a lot of TikToks. We do the TikTok live on Sundays. So if you guys could please like, subscribe, and join our channel, that would be very, very helpful.
Very helpful indeed. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.